Hush now, dear dreamer. The night is soft, the air cool, and the quiet of the sea calls to you like a lullaby. Beneath the silver skin of the water, where the waves shimmer under moonlight and light itself begins to thin into memory, I drift. I am not just a creature of the ocean. I am the ocean's shadow, the ocean's echo. I am the blue whale, the largest being to have ever lived on this earth, larger than dinosaurs, greater in scale than castles, a living monument of breath and song. And within me beats a heart the size of a car. Yes, a car, an engine not roaring on asphalt highways, but pulsing silently in the cathedral of my chest, moving oceans of blood with every single thud. Imagine it, dear dreamer. A single beat pushing through chambers as wide as doorways, carrying life to muscles coiled like cables, to lungs that hold the very sky. Each beat is steady, deliberate, and slow, like a great drum resonating through the depths, and if you rest your mind against that sound, you will feel not haste, not urgency, but eternity itself. Close your eyes. Can you hear it? The ocean muffles all else, the chaos of the world above fades, and there is only the rhythm, thud, silence, thud. It is a rhythm older than stories, older than history, older even than mountains. My blood courses through arteries so wide a child could crawl inside them, though I would never let them, for my veins are rivers of life, flowing always, unstoppable, tireless. My body, vast as a floating island, is a miracle of architecture sculpted by millions of years. 30 meters long from snout to tail, weighing more than 150,000 kilograms, I am a paradox. Heavy beyond imagination, yet I glide as if weightless, suspended in water like a feather in wind. My tongue alone, heavy as an elephant, moves krill from baleen to throat. My skull houses jaws like swinging gates, opening wide enough to engulf entire rooms of water. And still, though my mass could crush ships, my presence is not fury. It is grace. I am not here to conquer. I am here to endure. When I feed, the ocean itself rearranges. My throat unfolds into pleats, long accordion-like grooves that stretch and balloon, expanding my mouth into a living net. I surge forward, lunging into the bloom of krill that drift like constellations in the current. The water swells into me, rushing past baleen fringes, curtains of keratin, delicate yet strong, that sieve life from sea. Then, as my tongue presses upward, the water streams back into the ocean, and I am left with what I came for. Billions of tiny shrimp-like beings, my feast, my fuel, my spark. Imagine swallowing a meadow, a forest, an entire swarm of living sparks. That is my meal, and it sustains me on journeys thousands of miles long. I consume tons in a single day. Yet the krill do not vanish. They return, each season blooming again, each year the ocean replenishing itself as if it knows I am waiting. And all the while, my heart works without pause, slow, steady, purposeful. When I dive into the abyss, it slows even further, sometimes only 2 or 3 beats a minute, 2 beats to carry me into the darkness. 2 beats to hold oxygen steady as pressure mounts and the cold grips tight. But my body is built for such journeys. My blood carries more oxygen than any land mammals. My muscles are rich with myoglobin, storing reserves like deep wells. My lungs collapse safely under the weight of water, folding inward like careful origami so that I am not harmed by the crushing pressure. I move deeper, slower, farther than most creatures dare. And still my heart holds steady, never faltering. 1 beat, then silence. Another beat, then silence. In those silences there is no fear, only peace. Consider it, dear dreamer. If this engine were smaller, if this rhythm faltered, I could not survive. My dives would fail. My calf, helpless at my side, would not grow strong. Entire migrations, those ancient pathways from polar seas to tropical waters, would end in stillness. And not just for me, but for all of us, for my kin that wander the oceans, each one carrying a heart the size of a car, each one a slow guardian of the seas. And yet we endure, because nature shaped us to last, to travel, to sing. But endurance is never guaranteed. The oceans are filling with noise. Ships cut through waters where silence once held sway, their engines roaring louder than my songs. Plastics drift where krill should swarm, toxins leak where calves should nurse. If the waters fall empty, if the chorus of human noise grows too loud, our songs will fade. Not with thunder, but with silence. But tonight, dreamer, you need not dwell on that. Tonight we are still here. I am still here. My heart still beats, and I carry you with me in this rhythm, in this tide. Now feel the vastness of me more clearly. My flukes, wide as aircraft wings, propel me forward with each rise and fall. My skin, slate blue in daylight but mottled with pale streaks and scars, tells stories of age and survival. Parasites cling to me. Barnacles scatter across my surface like constellations etched in white. I am an entire universe drifting through the sea, galaxies of organisms living upon me, within me. My back breaks the surface in arcs, each exhale a plume of mist taller than a house, my breath made visible to the sky. That exhalation, dear dreamer, is not just air. It is history, memory, survival. I breathe out clouds shaped by millions of years, and then I dive again, into a world without sound, without light, where only my pulse remains. Think of my lungs. With a single breath, I can draw in thousands of liters of air, more than you would breathe in a day. My chest expands, my ribs curve wide, and in that instant, I carry the sky inside me. Then I sink, carrying sunlight down into shadows. Minutes stretch long. Time itself seems to slow, each second marked by the deliberate thud of my car-sized heart. You may find your thoughts slowing too, your own breath falling into rhythm with mine. Breathe in deeply. Now let it go. There. You are with me in the quiet of the deep. I am not made for speed. My power is not in sprinting, but in distance. Thousands of miles, season after season, year after year, from the polar seas where krill bloom in countless clouds, to tropical waters where calves are born in warmth, I travel. My body is the ship, my blood the tide, my heart the captain steering it all. And though I am enormous, though I could strike awe in any who see me breach, I do not move with arrogance. My motion is measured, humble, serene. I was never built to rule, only to exist. And in my existence, to remind the seas themselves what size, what stillness, what slowness can be. So listen again, dreamer. Thud, silence, thud. That is my gift to you, the heartbeat of the largest animal to ever live, a sound not made for fear or fury, but for endurance, for patience, for life. Hold that rhythm as you drift now, letting your own heart slow to match mine, letting your breath fall into the pattern of tide. Imagine lying in the dark, floating weightless, carried by a heartbeat the size of a car. Feel its echo not as noise, but as comfort. You are not rushing anymore. You are moving as I do, steady and sure, and in that movement, there is peace. But I am not only body, dreamer. Beneath the folds of skin and the echo of a car-sized heart lies something deeper. I am thought. I am sound. I am music shaped by the ocean. My voice is not heard by your ears, not easily. It is too low, too slow, too vast. Yet it travels farther than thunder, farther than wind, farther even than light can reach in water. Miles upon miles, entire horizons apart, my kin and I still speak. We sing to one another, not in random cries, but in patterned verses, songs built of repetition and change. You could call it conversation. You could call it memory. Some call it culture, because each population carries its own dialect, its own long hymn of ocean, unique to its family. We sing of migration, of courtship, of distance, and perhaps of wonder. And as seasons shift, so do our songs. A phrase falls away, another is added, and all of us adopt it, weaving the change into our shared voice. Imagine the ocean as a vast cathedral filled with evolving music, each note vibrating through water like starlight stretched into sound. You, dreamer, cannot always hear this, but know that as you sleep, there may be a whale thousands of miles away singing to another, and that song crosses through dark, cold depths without ever faltering. Where you hear silence, I hear maps. The clicks and moans, the rising crescendos, they chart the seas, painting invisible roads upon water. My ears are tuned to frequencies that bend with currents, that slip around mountains of ice, that ride the earth's skin itself. In sound, I know the world. In sound, I remember it. And I remember more than you might think. My calf, swimming beside me, learns not from words, but from movement and tone. He feels the vibration of my calls pressed into his bones. He memorizes the way I surface, the way I turn in currents, the paths I follow from pole to tropic and back again. These migrations, older than cities, older than your languages, are stitched into our minds, not by instinct alone, but by learning, passed from mother to child like lullabies. To lose one generation is to risk losing a road that has been walked for thousands of years, a melody sung since before your kind lit fire in the dark. I am also play dreamer. Yes, even giants play. Sometimes I breach, leaping from the sea in arcs of impossible weightlessness, crashing back into foam not for food, not for survival, but for joy. Sometimes I roll, slap my flippers, chase one another in spirals of spray. My song may be solemn, but my spirit is not bound to solemnity. I feel curiosity, affection, even delight. Scientists who watch me speak of neurons folded deep in my brain, of structures resembling your own, of potential for thought that echoes your intelligence. But you do not need science to feel it. You only need to stand at the edge of the water and hear me breathe, watch me turn my eye toward you, and know there is someone looking back. Consider my brain, dreamer, larger than any on earth, vast and folded, rich with possibility. Its neocortex hums with connections. Its limbic system pulses with emotion. My thoughts may not match your language, but they are thoughts all the same. When I call, I know who answers. When I swim beside my calf, I feel his need, his small, steady pulse against my own. When one of us dies, we circle, we slow, we linger. We are not machines of flesh. We are presence, awareness, memory. And memory stretches farther still. I recall coasts, feeding grounds, the taste of waters in different seas. The earth's magnetic field guides me, subtle, unseen, but familiar, a thread I follow across hemispheres. I know when the krill bloom will rise, when the ice will part, when the tropics will cradle calves. I hold these things not as instinct, but as lived experience. To migrate is not to wander, it is to remember, to return, to teach the path again and again until it becomes more than one life can hold. That is why my kind sings, so the memory is never lost. Yet not all voices are the same. Some of us sing louder, longer, deeper. Some sing only in certain seasons. Each note, each pause may carry meaning you cannot yet decipher. Perhaps it is as simple as attraction, as complex as philosophy. You may not know, but we know. And still, when your ships thunder overhead, when your engines roar across the surface, our voices are drowned. The maps blur, the songs fracture, the calves cannot hear. The silence is broken not by us, but by machines. And what then becomes of memory? What then becomes of our shared hymns? It is not death that terrifies us, but forgetting. Still, dreamer, tonight is not about fear. Tonight you are safe within my song, within the pulse of notes too deep to frighten, too slow to disturb. Tonight you hear only what the sea intended, music as wide as the horizon. Have you ever stood in a concert hall, felt sound reverberate in your chest until you could not tell if it came from the stage or from within you? That is my voice. That is the voice of my kin. The ocean is our hall, and every living thing is touched by the vibration. Fish scatter, squid drift, currents carry the resonance. Even the seabed feels it, stones humming with our rhythm. Our song is not for us alone. It is for the world. Imagine now, dreamer, that you are in the water with me. Darkness surrounds you, but not silence. You feel a low pulse travel through your body, soft but undeniable. It does not come from outside, but from everywhere at once. It hums in your bones, in your teeth, in the marrow of your being. That is what my world feels like. A constant tapestry of sound, stitched together by kin near and far, layered with meaning you may never untangle. But you do not need to understand. You only need to float, to listen, to trust that this web of sound will hold you. And as you drift, you notice me beside you. My eye turns toward you again, reflecting a pale glimmer of light, holding patience, curiosity, calm. There is no fear here, only recognition. You are small, but you are not unseen. I have sung long before your kind walked upright, long before your cities rose, and I will sing still, as long as the seas allow. And now, in this moment, as you drift closer to sleep, my song is yours. You borrow it. You let it carry you. The notes swell, the ocean vibrates, and you sink deeper, not into fear, but into rest. Life, dreamer, is not only in size or song, but in the bonds we hold. For all my strength, all my scale, I am at my most tender when a calf swims by my side. When he enters the world, he is already larger than most creatures, 7 meters long, as heavy as a hippopotamus, born into the warm shallows where the water is gentle and predators are far. He breathes his first air in a plume that shimmers against the sky, and from that moment he is mine to guard. He drinks from me, my milk thick as cream, rich with the energy of oceans. Each day he drinks hundreds of liters, growing as if time itself has accelerated for him. And all the while I guide him, nudging him upward for air, circling to shield him from shadows, teaching him with each turn of my body. For months we remain close, his small form pressed against mine, never far from the rhythm of my car-sized heart. He learns not by words, but by watching, how I surface, how I dive, how I linger. He follows the path of my fluke, tracing my wake as if it were a written lesson. When danger stirs, he feels my body tense. When food rises, he sees the swell of my throat. In me, he discovers not only how to live, but how to remember. And though one day he will wander alone, my song will stay with him. My rhythm will echo in his blood. I rest, too, though never fully. Half my brain sleeps, dreamer, while the other half keeps vigil. This is how I survived the sea. One eye closes, one eye watches, one hemisphere of my mind drifts into dreams. The other ensures I rise to breathe. Imagine it. Slumber and awareness braided together, never surrendering completely, yet never deprived. In those dreams, perhaps I see krill glittering like constellations, or calves circling in sunlight, or the ghost of my mother's eye watching me as I now watch my own. My sleep is tidal, brief but deep, a rhythm of vigilance and surrender. Do I dream as you do? You may never know, but watch me and rest, and you will see. My muscles twitch, my fluke shivers, as though I race through imagined seas. Perhaps I recall journeys past, perhaps I practice songs not yet sung. Dreams are not only for landwalkers, dreamer. They belong to all who carry memory. The cycle continues. Seasons turn, waters shift, and I begin the long migration from feeding grounds to calving grounds. Thousands of miles stretch ahead, but I do not falter. I have traveled this road before, and so did those before me. My calf grows, my body endures, the tide itself seems to clear the way. I am pulled not only by hunger or need, but by history. My ancestors carved these paths with their songs, and I carry them still. In these journeys I meet others. Sometimes we swim together for days, our breaths rising in unison, our bodies aligned like stars in a constellation. Sometimes we part, each following a memory older than ourselves. We are solitary at times, but never truly alone. The ocean is a chorus, a community scattered across horizons, bound not by touch but by sound. Our unity is invisible, yet undeniable, each song an invisible thread connecting us across the dark. And then, dreamer, there is grief. For though I am strong, though I endure, I am not immune to loss. I have seen calves sink into silence, mothers circle their still young, pods linger around one of their own who no longer breathes. We are not machines. We are not unfeeling shadows. When one of us leaves, the rest of us know. We slow, we linger, we circle, perhaps to mourn, perhaps to teach, perhaps both. You may not call it ritual, but I will, for it is as real as your funerals, as tender as your prayers. We grieve because we remember. Yet life does not stop. The calves still grow, the songs still rise, the migrations continue. In each new birth, there is hope. In each new voice, there is memory reborn. That is how we live, not as individuals alone, but as an endless wave of life, flowing from one generation into the next. So now, dear dreamer, close your eyes fully. Imagine the ocean around you, stretching endlessly, a vast blue quilt stitched with currents and stars. You float weightless, your body held by water, your mind rocked by rhythm. Above you, the moon scatters silver. Below you, darkness hums with song. And then, from the depths, a shadow rises. Immense, slow, ancient, a blue whale. I drift toward you, not threatening, not hurried, only present. My eye meets yours, round and calm, reflecting not judgment, but recognition. You are small, yes, but you are not forgotten. I see you. I circle once, my fluke lifting a tide that cradles you. My breath bursts in a mist, falling back like soft rain. You inhale, feeling my rhythm align with your own. Thud, silence, thud. The heartbeat of a car-sized engine resonates in you, steady, reassuring. In that moment, you are carried by more than water. You are carried by memory, by presence, by the sheer persistence of life. And as I sink again into the depths, you remain at the surface, but not alone. You are wrapped in sound, in rhythm, in trust. I do not need to speak. My presence is enough. The sea itself is enough. The world is quieter here, slower, kinder. You are part of it now, just as I am, just as my calf is, just as those before us were.
So sleep well, dear dreamer. Let your breath fall into rhythm with mine. Let your thoughts slow to the pace of tides. Let your heart remember the sound of mine, vast, car-sized, patient, eternal. May your dreams tonight drift on blue horizons, filled with songs too deep for waking ears. May you float in a current of calm, carried by an ancient presence that asks for nothing but to endure. And when you wake, remember this. Somewhere in the silence of the sea, a heart the size of a car still beats, steady as time, steady as tide.